Well, good morning, friends. It's Crazy Cheap Chick. I'm back from the grocery store, and pretty soon I'll take the groceries in. I'll show you what I got. Spent about the usual amount. I'll show you what I got at Goodwill this week. I found some clearance plants at Lowe's that were a pretty good deal. And then at the end, if you stick around to the end, I'm going to tell you a story about a time I took a lie detector test and failed. So if you want to hear that story, then either skip ahead or stick around. I used to be able to find enough clearance stuff at the Dillon store closest to me that I didn't have to go to two stores. But there has become so much competition for the clearance food that now it usually takes me going to two stores, which means instead of taking an hour to shop, it takes two. Anyway, this week I spent $86.57, $65.01 at one store and $21.56 at the other. There's just two of us, so that works out to about $43.28 per person. If you count 21 meals, which is being really generous because we skip breakfast a lot, it works out to about $2.06 a meal. Now I'm going to show you what I got. No matter how hard I try, it seems to take 80 to 90 bucks a week to feed us, and this week was no different at $86.57. I'm going to run through real quick what I bought this week, and sometimes I buy things and people are like, "You're not frugal at all, you bought that processed food." Well, if you wait until my meal plan, you'll understand why I bought certain things. Green pepper, 99 cents. I dug through there and tried to find the biggest one, and this was the biggest one. That was crazy. These little Roma tomatoes, 4 of them, 99 cents. This Spanish style 90-second rice was $1.59. The broccoli cuts were $1.25. The Dolly sweet cornbread, come on, Dolly, you're getting kind of high, $2.92. I usually buy Krusteaz, but this had more in it. You probably have this memorized by now. Half and half here in Kansas is $5.49. And these refried beans were $1.19. Sour cream, $2.29. Cottage cheese, $2.49. And these pineapple chunks were $1.49. This kind of is a comment on my cooking. I was out of Tums, $2.79 for the Tums. That's the full price stuff. Now we'll get into the sale price stuff. These cherry tomatoes were $2.49 each. One of them actually rang up for $2.04 because I think I had a coupon. I eat a lot of tomatoes. Lettuce, $3.49. I think I had a 50-cent off coupon for this also. I think it's normally $3.99. This bread was on sale. I don't buy a lot of bread. I'm trying not to eat a lot of bread. And so some of this will go in the freezer, but they have the Hawaiian bread and the white bread. That's the only two they had for $1.99 each. It's pretty cheap for processed food, so I went ahead and caught it. They had avocados on sale. These avocados were $4.14. I got 6 of them. They were 69 cents each. This was on sale. These pork tenderloins, it was $9.99, but buy one, get one free. So I bought this one for $9.99, and this one was free. So basically $5 each, and that's quite a bit of meat. And there were small ones and big ones, so of course I dug through and found the 2 largest ones I could find. I got these petite gold potatoes for $2.50. I know that's kind of high. You can buy 5 pounds of potatoes right now for $2.99, but I need these for a specific dish. It's delicious. It's a German dish. I'll try to make a video of me making it. Then the rest of this is all my clearance food. I got this milk. It doesn't expire until April 1st, and today's March 24th, and it was $1.09. Got this Stone Fire flatbread, and it was $2.10. These tamales were $3.15. Anything in a red net bag at all of these stores, I don't know if they have any of these stores in your area, are 99 cents, at least here in Kansas. And so I got 3 yellow squash for 99 cents. Found this chopped kale, and it expires tomorrow, though kale lasts forever. And so it wasn't marked down, but I found the produce guy and I said, "Hey, this expires tomorrow." And really, let's not think of it as expired. Let's think of it as best if used by, because there is no law in the United States that you have to put an expiration date on anything except baby formula. So chopped kale, $1.32. That was probably normally $2.99. Then I got these sourdough English muffins for 85 cents. They had been $1.69, I believe. And I got several of the Red Net bags today. What's this? 6 apples for 99 cents. These pears, 5 pears for 99 cents. They're really ripe. They're going to have to be eaten today. These are plums. Look at all those plums for 99 cents. This bag of oranges, 5 oranges for 99 cents. This is another bag of oranges, 4 of them for 99 cents. These are the red blood oranges. Taste a little bit different. Then I found this ham, and this is kind of it's a double pack. And it had been $8.29, and I paid $2.40 for this one. It was reduced to $2.90, but I had a coupon. And so I got 2 of those. This one was $2.90. And I got some chicken breast for $2.92. This stuff is usually like $6.99. Package of hamburger for $3.29. This tzatziki dip for $2.47. This stuff's like $5.99 or $4.99. This shredded 3-cheese blend, $2.37. This was my treat. You know, I always splurge on a couple of things. This is chocolate milk, and it was marked down to $1.98. I love chocolate milk. Look at that, it's so high calorie. You can't drink very much of it. And then these Hawaiian rolls were marked down to $2.13. And I think these are normally like $4.99. Crazy. Anyway, that's what I got for my 86 bucks. And now I'm going to tell you what we're going to eat this week. I really wasn't in the mood to go to the grocery store this morning, and I didn't even take a shower or put my makeup on before I went up there. And I told John Wayne, I think I have EOC. I'm pretty sure I do. I haven't been to a doctor or had it diagnosed, but early onset crabbiness. And he goes, it's not that early. I'd say it's right on time. Anyway, this is what we're going to eat this week. For breakfast, you know, I skip breakfast a lot. I just never feel hungry in the morning. But when I do eat breakfast, I tend to eat yogurt, and I have a lot of yogurt, and I put a lot of cream in my coffee. Sometimes I'll have a piece of fruit. I do love avocado toast, and since I found these English muffins and this ham, and I found clearance eggs last week, I would imagine that we are going to have some egg, ham, cheese muffins, you know, just like they make at McDonald's, only hopefully better. Now, this meal here is going to be a super easy one for me. Last week, I got those tortillas on sale, and I hope you see how what you find on sale one week kind of spreads out into multiple weeks. And so I have the tortillas, and I am going to cook this pork tenderloin and make pork carnitas. Now, that's what my daughter always calls them because she's fancy. It's really just pork tacos. But these Hormel pork loins are really, really good. And then you just have to cut up your lettuce and your tomato, probably make a little guac to go with it. I already have onion and some sour cream, so those will be delicious. Now, I might make ham and beans. I really am not a fan of ham and beans. I make them about once a year. I wanted to go ahead and get the cornbread just in case I decided to make it since I got this ham. Or I may just make ham and cheese sandwiches since I got so much bread. And you could do a really good grilled ham and cheese sandwich with a side, and that would be a wonderful meal. I am definitely going to use this flatbread to make pizzas. And that's why I needed the green pepper. And that's why I needed some hamburger. I also have hamburger in the freezer, so I've got plenty of hamburger. And I've got onion, I've got olives, cheese, everything I need for a pizza. Last week, I got those chicken breasts on sale, the really flat ones. And so I'm thinking about making chicken parmesan with a side of broccoli. And I already have the chicken, and I already have the pasta, and I have the pasta sauce. I have a lot of canned tomatoes. I could make my own sauce if I don't feel too lazy, because I did can quite a few tomatoes last year. And I got this 3-cheese blend for $2.37, so that'll put that on top. And I didn't buy any garlic bread because since this bread was on sale for $1.99, I thought, why not? I'll just make my own garlic bread this week. This pork loin, I don't know if this will be this week or next week, but I'll cook it. And when I say cook it, I mean throw it in a crock pot. And it will be barbecued beef sandwiches. I could use this bread, this Hawaiian bread. It would be really good for a barbecued sandwich. I always think pineapple goes good with pork. Maybe that cottage cheese or some other side. I've got a lot of vegetables. And then I never made that Cuban picadillo I was talking about last week. And so I've got hamburgers and tomatoes and olives and all the things I need to make that, rice. But sometimes what I say I'm going to make, the plan changes because I just don't feel like making it that day. I end up making something else. And since I have that chicken, that flat, thin chicken, I really kind of want to make some stuffed chicken breasts. You just use stuffing. I got a whole ton of stuffing on clearance after the holidays. And so a stuffed chicken breast with that potato dish that I make and these rolls, that would be a really good dinner. Now, the rest of this is just kind of extra. Some of it'll go in the freezer, like this chicken here will go in the freezer. I like this stuff just to dip vegetables in, like carrots and celery. But I want to tell you why I bought this. I don't plan on making it this week. Tamales, chicken and red sauce, they were $3.15. The Spanish-style rice was $1.59, and these refried beans were $1.19. Well, there will come a day when John Wayne and I will be out, and I will be tired, and I won't feel like cooking. And I'll think in my head, why don't we just pick up a pizza? Or let's stop by Chick-fil-A. Well, those things have gotten so high. I mean, it's like $35 for a pizza now. And Chick-fil-A is like $25 for two people, or $25 or $30. And this is my fast food meal that I keep at home. It may not be the healthiest, but it saves me from eating out because in my mind, I'll say, no, you got those tamales, rice, and refried beans. You can throw something together really fast. It won't take very much time. So this is basically my fast food meal. Anyway, that's what I got. How'd you guys do this week? And what are you making? Oh, I just can't resist. I'm going to have to go ahead and have some of this chocolate milk. Oh, man. That's like a liquid candy bar. That's really what it is, a liquid candy bar, and I love it. Well, let's see if I can find any good plants today. I did start some seeds probably 7-8 days ago, and they are just now starting to come up. Really probably should have started them a little bit earlier. There's some broccoli under there going wild that needs thinned out. Because it's getting late enough you could direct sow almost. Then today I did find some clearance plants at Lowe's. These were $7. This pink one was $7. And then all these little pansies were $1 each, so that whole flat was $12. I spent $51.11 pre-tax at Goodwill today. I found a few bargains. I'll show you what I got. Today was senior discount day, and so anything with a yellow tag was half off. First, I got this. This was my favorite thing. It was $4.92, and it's a tea bag holder. And since I drink green tea every day, I'm going to put my green tea in this. Yesterday, I made that apple butter, and I had to peel about 20 apples, and John Wayne had said to me, next time you see an apple peeler, you should pick it up. And so yesterday I was thinking that as I was peeling all those apples, and lo and behold, I found an apple peeler today, and it was $7.55. These sunglasses were $4.50, brand new, Panama Jack. I think I saw somewhere on there that they were originally $19.99. This is just a game. Has a bunch of question cards in it. Paid $2.55, and it just has questions like this. What is your fondest childhood memories? Thought that would be fun to do. Then I'm really starting to need this. This is a lighted magnifying glass. And so I paid $3.62 for it. Seems to work pretty good. I paid $1.92 for this. I was shocked when I looked up and saw how much these things cost. This is a real narrow one. It holds 1.25 gallons. And if you don't have water stored up, it's really not a bad idea. Have at least some water. Then everything else is clothes, except for this. These are pillowcases. I was actually able to find these pillowcases online. They were about 10 bucks a piece, but I paid $4.12 for 2 of them. And I plan on putting this on some of my outdoor furniture pillows. This is a Chico's Traveler's top. I love Chico's Travelers because they don't wrinkle. They're lightweight, easy to pack. So when I go to Europe this summer, this will probably be one of the things I take. $2.47. And I really like this top. I love the color. I love the style. It was also $2.47. I think I have a little jacket that will match this perfectly. These pants are Ruby Road, and I paid, I believe they were $3.47. And they probably didn't sell because it looks like they have a little bit of a rust spot right there, but that's easy to get out. So I'll get that stain out and have these pants. This is a nurse's shirt, and it's about 2 times too big for me. But I bought it because it has a ton of pockets in it. It has pockets everywhere on it. And I want to put it over my regular clothes and use it when I'm gardening to kind of protect my clothes, and I can store stuff in all the pockets because I'm assuming nurses need lots of pockets. Then I got this jacket. I had a hard time deciding to buy this jacket. It's just a plain black rain jacket, which I really want to take to London and Scotland because even in the summer it doesn't get that warm there and it rains a lot. But it was $10.55 with my senior discount. That seemed so high to me. I really had to talk myself into buying it because I know I won't find a nicer one anywhere else for less. First, I got the material wet, and then I'm just going to put some rust remover on it. There was a little spot over here too. And I'm just, oops, that looks like I'm out. And I'll bet you that takes it right out. Okay, friends, I told you if you stuck around all the way to the end that I would tell you the story of the time I took a lie detector test, and the person who was giving the test said I failed one of the questions. Now, you're probably asking yourself, why was she taking a lie detector test? Well, let me explain how it came about. I had applied for a job, and if you remember back in the 80s, it was hard to get a job. Jobs were in short supply. And I had applied for a job with the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department as a 911 operator. And I really wanted that job. I thought it would be fascinating. I thought I'd be good at it, and I like to help people. So I thought it would be a good fit for me. Anyway, they made you go through all these steps in order to get hired. And there was a lot of competition for the job. There was a lot of people applying for that position. I think they had 2 or 3 positions open. And the first step was just an interview. I passed the interview. The second step was an IQ test. And I guess I must have passed the IQ test because then I went on to the third step. And the third step was a psychological exam. You had to take a test. And I guess I must have passed that. So maybe I'm not as crazy as I think. And 4 was you had to take a lie detector test. Now, taking a lie detector test for me was very intimidating. You're hooked up to this machine, and the person giving the test was super serious and stern. Start the process by telling you they're going to ask you a series of questions, and you are supposed to answer yes or no. Now, that's kind of hard because, not every question can be answered yes or no. Sometimes you want to qualify your answers. But anyway, that was the rules. You could only answer yes or no. And they started out easy and just kind of common questions, and then they would throw a curveball in there. And I'll give you an example. They would do something like, is your name Crazy Cheap Chick? Yes. Did you used to live at 123 Hill Street? Yes. Did you go to such and such school? Yes. Have you ever used marijuana? It was kind of like that. He'd be like, what? What? You'd be back to, some other common questions. And then, have you ever stolen anything? It was just like so jarring. And at the end, the guy, who was really kind of a jerk, goes, well, I guess you failed one of the questions. And I'm like, what? What question are you saying I failed? And he's like, well, don't you know? And I'm like, I have no clue because I told the truth on all the questions. So I was kind of indignant and getting worked up. And he's like, oh, you know what question you failed? And I'm like, and he finally goes, well, when I asked you if you planned on making the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department your career, the answer showed inconclusive when you answered yes. And I'm like, oh, brother, I don't even have the job yet. How in the world am I going to know if I like it enough to stay here for 30 or 40 years? But in the meantime, I didn't hear from them. And so I just thought, well, I didn't get it. I failed that question on whether I was going to make the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department my career. So they have hired other people, and I got another job. That's when I got the job at the car dealership selling cars, and I ended up really liking it. Plus, since I was commissioned, I was making a lot of money for me. And when the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department came a-calling to offer me the job, I was like, thanks, but no thanks, because it would have been shift work. I think it would have been really stressful. I think it would have been hard on a marriage, and I had 3 young children. If they hadn't dragged that process out so long, I would probably be an alcoholic divorce 911 operator today. Other Kansas news, you may have seen on the national news that we had a gigantic car pileup out in western Kansas, which was caused by a dust storm. People do not understand, who aren't from this area, how devastating dust storms can be. In fact, it was around the time that John Wayne and I went and picked up that travel trailer up in Iowa and took it down to Denton, Texas, because we planned our trip around the dust storm. We knew it was coming. It had been predicted that there was going to be high winds. And John Wayne had said, I don't want to be pulling a travel trailer in high winds. And so we got home the day before the dust storm, and it was weird. It was a weird dust storm. We had it even here in this area on the eastern side of the state. In fact, all of my windows are covered in this gritty dust, and it was all over our vehicles. But we weren't out driving in it. Well, out in western Kansas, there was a 71 car pileup. 71 cars, and 10 of those were semis. 8 people died, and it was so sad. I mean, it was big news here. I don't know if you heard about it where you live. And they had to call not just the highway patrol, but everyone from that area. And it's a sparsely populated area out there, Goodland area. And the I-70 was closed for 24 hours. If you're not familiar with dust storms, it's like a wall of dust. And you really can't tell from a distance how thick it is. In fact, the people who came up on it, they said visibility dropped to 0. They couldn't even see the hood of their car. And that's how fast it can happen. And then the other thing that makes dust storms particularly dangerous is those fine particles of dust coat the road, and it makes the road kind of slick. It's slower braking. And I was talking to John Wayne. I said, if something like that ever happened and I was driving, what should I do? And he said, get off the road. He said, just turn it to the right and drive off the road, because people behind you are going to slam into you. And so I'm glad he told me that, because I probably wouldn't have thought of that. He's like, it doesn't even matter if it's a steep drop. He said, just get off the road, or else you're going to end up being in a very bad pileup. And that's exactly what happened in this situation. And probably a lot of people may have been driving through I-70 who aren't familiar with dust storms. The Dust Bowl That was Oklahoma and Kansas back in the 30s. They called it the dirty 30s for a reason. And all of this dust came up from Texas. It was a cold front that brought it up here. Being aware of the weather when you're driving is really, really important. And I was talking to one of my friends about how dangerous that situation was. And she said, you know what? She said, I've avoided a lot of bad situations by just staying home and watching TV. Anyway, things are looking good around here. I'm starting to get all my mulch down. When John Wayne first brought it home, I just felt so overwhelmed. He brought 2 pallets of mulch. And I just had to remind myself, it doesn't all have to be done today. You can put down 10 or 20 bags a day, and in a week you'll be done. And that's what's happened. I'm about halfway through all that mulch, though my back hurts. And things are budding out, things are coming up, all the daffodils are in bloom. Spring is such a time of joy, of feeling like, I made it through another winter. I'm going to tell you a secret. I'm not very good at vegetable gardening. I'm really quite bad at it. So I am going to try, though. I'm going to plant a garden this year because I'm pretty convinced that we're going to see some really big price increases on food. What do you think? I hope you have a great week, and hope you find some bargains, and I'll talk to you soon. John Wayne picked up my mulch for me today. He got 160 bags, and I'm like, I think we only got 1 pallet last year. He thinks we got 2. It's a little bit depressing seeing all of that. The dills are in full bloom. As are these guys. You know, this preen comes with a little tiny scoop, but I need something bigger that I can shake. So I had saved one of these grated cheese containers, and I'm going to use it. Let's see how this works. Oh yeah, that's perfect. I'm putting this down before I put my mulch down in my flower beds, because I just can't do the weeding like I used to. You never learn, do you, Sparky?